I'm Douglas Carswell, and I run the Mississippi Center for Public Policy. And you're probably thinking, that's the weirdest Mississippi accent you've ever heard. That's because I'm originally from England. Before making my home in Mississippi, I was a member of the British Parliament for 12 years. I was elected to the House of Commons 4 times, and I went into politics in Britain for one overarching reason. I wanted Britain to leave the European Union. I wanted Brexit. In 2005, I was one of only 6 members of Parliament committed to Brexit. I advocated for Brexit. I switched parties in pursuit of Brexit. I even called a special election against myself when I changed parties, something no one had done in decades, to help secure Brexit. I then co-founded Vote Leave, the official Brexit campaign. We won, and having achieved what I went into politics to do, I quit Parliament. Without having lost an election, I stood down. I didn't want to become one of those politicians constantly looking for new ways to justify living at the taxpayer's expense. Having left the House of Commons, I moved to Mississippi. Now I can imagine the confusion on your face. Mississippi? Really? Was Florida full? Let me explain. If, as I do, you believe that freedom is the motor of human progress, if, like Ronald Reagan, you know that liberty is what lifted our species from the swamp to the stars, then there's no place on the planet that comes close to the United States of America. America rose from being 13 ramshackle British colonies to becoming the greatest republic in human history. Not because of some cosmic fluke. It's because of decisions made in an old courthouse in Philadelphia in 1787. The founders hardwired liberty into the DNA of the American Republic. That's why so much human innovation, from the first powered flight to Musk's pending mission to Mars, happens here. But why Mississippi, I'm often asked. I wanted to work at a state level because it's at the state level where many of the great advances in liberty happen. Welfare reform from Wisconsin, charter schools in the Midwest, deregulation Texas and Tennessee style, school choice in Florida, Arizona, and West Virginia. Now, Mississippi is often thought of as being 50th out of 50 states. Thanks to our free market reforms, it could be time to think again. Last year, the US Bureau of Economic Analysis clocked Mississippi as having one of the fastest growing GDPs per person in the country. Personal income growth, skyrocketing. In 2023, Mississippi's output per head overtook the UK, my old stomping ground. This year, Mississippi is projected to overtake Germany. Yes, Germany. The poorest state in America is about to outproduce the land of BMWs and overpriced sausages. I wrote about this in The Atlantic, and the left-wing commentariat across the pond lost their minds. I'm not sure what triggered them more, the idea that free markets actually work, or that Mississippi, of all places, is showing them up. How do we do it? Simple. We've been rolling out the kinds of policies Europe's forgotten in its mad dash to nanny state nirvana. In 2021, Mississippi deregulated the labour market, because apparently people can figure out how to work without endless layers of paperwork. In 2022, we slashed income tax to a flat 4%, the biggest tax cut in Mississippi history. In 2024, we stopped funding a bloated education system and started funding students instead. And this session, we might just torch the red tape strangling healthcare. Mississippi's success is a vindication of the American model. You've got 50 states, all free to experiment, compete, and prove what works. That's why America leaves everyone else in the dust. Now, 20 years ago, the US and EU economies were neck and neck. Today, America's output is 50% higher. Home Depot has a market cap bigger than every new public company Europe has created over the past 50 years combined. Japan? Innovation there seems to have stalled with the invention of the Sony Walkman. Today, the Asian country many Americans are concerned about is China. China harbors ambitions that should make us wary. But the date at which China is supposedly going to overtake America keeps being pushed back. First, they said it would happen by 2020, then in the 2030s. Now China's output is slipping back as a percentage of American output, and her population is collapsing. If America stays true to that system created in Philadelphia all those years ago, the United States will overcome every challenge and overcome every challenger. That's why the fight to preserve American exceptionalism is the defining fight of our age. Stay true to the founding principles, and American innovation and ingenuity will accelerate. Abandon the things that make America exceptional, and North America will become a North American version of France, or heaven forbid, one giant replica of California. Over the past generation, the liberty movement in America has built some amazing infrastructure. It's awesome that we pass all these bills at a state level and litigate for liberty. Tax cuts and red tape reduction are vital. But what would we have gained if we accomplish all those public policy wins, yet allow young Americans to grow up believing the United States is an illegitimate country, built by slave owners on stolen land? For what should it profit us if we gain all those policy wins, but America loses her own soul? A recent poll showed that fewer than 1 in 5 young Americans felt extremely proud to be American. Our movement is engaged in a great struggle, testing whether this great nation can long endure. Everyone in our movement needs to know it. But I fear that, like the British guns at Singapore, which were pointing in the wrong direction, we aren't focusing on where the fight's coming from. Making public policy, however good, is not enough. That's why the Mississippi Center for Public Policy puts so much effort into reaching the hearts and minds of young people with a message about free markets and American exceptionalism. Our Leadership Academy introduces university students and high schoolers to key insights about the free market, insights we hope will change the way they see the world forever. We invest time and effort producing audiovisual output watched by tens of thousands in Mississippi and across America. I partnered with PragerU to produce videos on the importance of patriotism. Now, when I arrived in America with my family, I was alarmed to hear some of the things TikTok was trying to teach my young daughter about our new home. Horrified, I made it a priority to teach my daughter what I think are some of the essential truths about America. That this country was founded on liberty. That the United States Constitution has given rise to one of the greatest systems of government ever created. That Americans are uniquely innovative. That America owes much to a Judeo-Christian tradition. I wrote down the things I told my daughter and turned it into an illustrated children's book. What makes America special? 6 things every American needs to know about their country, but aren't being taught. I want every child in America to grow up believing in America. What began as a side hustle has now grown into our patriotism project. Our first book on what makes America special has now sold thousands of copies across the country. In fact, we've sold more copies in California than any other state, so perhaps there's hope for the Golden State after all. Please take it from me as an outsider, as someone not born in America, when I tell you that America is exceptional. As an immigrant, I've not yet mastered your language. I still struggle to say y'all, and I can't quite stop saying water when I mean water. I try to get into the lift when I ought to use the elevator. I still try to put the rubbish in the bin when I should be tossing the garbage into the trash. Heck, I sometimes still drive on the left-hand side of the road. But I know enough of America to know that each of you watching this are the beneficiaries of the most sublime inheritance on earth. In the words of an English philosopher, the late, great Roger Scruton, we do not merely study the past, we inherit it. And inheritance brings with it not only the rights of ownership, but the duties of trusteeship. Things fought for and died for should not be idly squandered, for they are the property of others who are not yet born. Our mission must be to pass on that inheritance to our children and grandchildren, and their children not yet born.